Have you ever heard of mysterious abandoned houses, a place where ghostly tales and chilling rumors cling to every old wall? Today we will explore one of the scariest houses in Dover, where the past and present seem to intersect, and the ghosts of old still haunt this place. Let's step into the world of the Grayson family and the inexplicable phenomena they faced. Is it just a rumor, or is there truly something lurking in the darkness? Stay tuned to uncover the truth. The first story, the mystery of the abandoned house in Dover, ghosts from the past. The small town of Dover, Delaware, where the streets are lined with lush trees, traditional red brick houses, and a community that seems closely knit. It is a place that appears to have nothing but the peace of rural America. Neighbors greet each other every morning, children ride their bikes to school, and everyone often attends the weekend market. But behind that tranquil facade lies a truly horrifying story, an event that only those involved could comprehend the level of haunting it brought. In the spring of 2009, the Grayson family moved to Dover with hopes of starting a new life. Both Jeff and Karen Grayson were teachers, and they had always dreamed of living in a place that could provide peace for their two young children, Emily, 12 years old, and Jack, 8 years old. They quickly adapted to their new life, and everything seemed perfect. Their home was at the end of a small road, away from the hustle and bustle of the city. With a spacious yard and an airy atmosphere, the house was like a paradise for families seeking tranquility. But little did they know that before they moved in, this house had been vacant for many years, and strange stories about it had begun to circulate among the locals. It was said that a couple who had lived there previously mysteriously disappeared without a trace. Although these rumors had never been confirmed, they were always whispered among the villagers. In the first few months, the Grayson family encountered nothing unusual. But then, things began to change. One evening, while Karen was cooking in the kitchen, she felt an unusual cold breeze blow through her neck, even though all the windows were closed. When she turned around, there was nothing but darkness in the hallway. Strange events continued to occur. Jeff began to hear whispering sounds at night, as if someone were talking downstairs. But whenever he checked, the house was always silent. Emily and Jack started reporting that they often heard footsteps on the floor at night, and sometimes they even saw shadows gliding past their bedroom door. Karen tried to dismiss these worries, thinking that perhaps the old house was making noises, but the signs became increasingly clear. One night, Emily woke up after a terrifying nightmare. She recounted that in her dream, she saw herself standing in front of the house, but it looked completely different. Everything was shrouded in darkness, and the house appeared to have been abandoned for decades. As she entered, she saw a woman sitting in the living room, her empty eyes staring into space. As Emily approached, the woman turned her head, her face distorted with deep cuts, and suddenly spoke. "Leave here before it's too late." This nightmare didn't occur just once. Emily began to dream about it more frequently, and every time the woman would appear with a chilling warning. Not just Emily, but Jack also started having strange dreams. He recounted seeing a tall man, his face obscured, silently standing at the foot of his bed every night. Terrified by these strange occurrences, Jeff and Karen decided to investigate the history of the house. They discovered that nearly 20 years ago, a couple named Robert and Lisa had lived there. According to the accounts of former neighbors, Robert was a quiet man who rarely interacted with others. One winter night, Lisa suddenly disappeared. Robert told everyone that she had left after a heated argument, but no one saw Lisa leave town. Months later, Robert also vanished mysteriously. The police found no clues about their disappearance. The house has remained abandoned ever since, and no one dared to buy it until the Grayson family moved in. As the Grayson family continued to face strange phenomena, they decided to seek help from a famous medium. This woman, named Clara, sensed a strong negative energy as soon as she entered the house. Clara began to walk around the house, and when she reached the living room, Where Emily often saw the woman in her dreams, she stopped. "There is a spirit here," Clara said. "It is a deeply wounded woman, and she is seeking release." Clara explained that Lisa had not truly left the house as everyone thought. She was murdered by Robert in a fit of rage, and her body had been hidden somewhere in this house. Her spirit was trapped, unable to move on. Clara, along with Jeff and Karen, began searching around the house, and eventually they uncovered a horrifying truth. In a small room in the basement, covered by a layer of plaster, they found Lisa's body, buried there for many years. Robert had hidden his wife's body there and then disappeared without a trace. After Lisa's body was discovered, the police reopened the case, but Robert was never found. There was speculation that after killing his wife, he committed suicide somewhere far away, but no one could be certain about this. The Grayson family decided to leave the house immediately afterward. Although the house had been cleansed by the mediums, they could not live in a place that had witnessed so much tragedy and suffering. Emily and Jack's strange dreams gradually faded away, and their lives returned to normal, but the haunting memories of what had happened lingered. The house in Dover continued to stand alone, with no one daring to buy it after the story became widely known. It became a local legend, a place that people avoided at night, fearing that Lisa's ghost still lurked somewhere, waiting to be completely freed from the bonds of the past. The story of the Grayson family serves as a reminder that not everything we see is the truth. Behind the calm facade of daily life may lie dark secrets, and sometimes the ghosts of the past are still there, waiting for a chance to return. The residents of the small town of Dover will forever remember this story as a cautionary tale, that not every house is merely bricks and mortar. Sometimes they also harbor souls filled with resentment and suffering. Story 2. The Haunted House of the Lutz Family in Amityville. In the fall of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, found a charming house at 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York. The spacious house, built in the Dutch colonial style with large windows and surrounded by a lush garden, became the ideal home they had always dreamed of. The Lutz family quickly decided to purchase the house for $80,000, an astonishingly low price given its size and location. However, what the Lutz family didn't know was that just over a year prior, this house had witnessed a horrific tragedy. On November 13, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr., the eldest son of the DeFeo family, shot and killed all 6 members of his family while they slept. This horrifying event turned the house into a crime scene, but nonetheless, George and Kathy Lutz decided to move in, believing that everything was in the past. On December 18, 1975, the Lutz family officially moved into house number 112. At first, everything seemed normal. Kathy was arranging the furniture, George was busy with his new job, and the children happily explored the spacious new home. But within just a few days, strange things began to happen. George, who had previously been healthy and full of life, began to experience both physical and psychological changes. He often felt a chill, even with the heater running at full capacity. George was constantly haunted by the feeling that something was wrong in the house. He felt fatigued, lethargic, and gradually lost interest in everyday life. Kathy, a gentle and caring mother, was not spared from the strange occurrences. One night, while Kathy was sleeping, she suddenly woke up feeling suffocated and short of breath. When she looked in the mirror, she was horrified to see deep wrinkles on her face, making her look like an old woman within just a few hours. However, the next morning, her face returned to normal, as if nothing had ever happened. These phenomena did not only affect the adults. George and Kathy's children also began to see strange things. Their youngest daughter, Missy, said she had made friends with a little girl named Jody. Initially, Kathy and George thought it was just their daughter's imaginary friend, until Missy described Jody as a terrifying creature with glowing red eyes and the shape of a giant pig. The longer the Lutz family stayed in the house, the more they felt trapped in a bizarre world where unexplainable phenomena increased. George often woke up at 3:15 a.m., the exact time Ronald DeFeo Jr. had murdered his family. He heard mysterious footsteps from the attic, yet when he checked, no one was there. Strange sounds like knocking and screaming echoed throughout the house. One night, George walked into the living room and saw his chair suddenly shaking as if someone were sitting on it. Kathy, while taking a bath, was unexpectedly pulled under the water by an unseen force. As the strange occurrences became increasingly terrifying, they invited a priest to bless the house. Father Ray came to house number 112 on December 24, 1975. But as soon as he began the blessing, a terrifying voice echoed from nowhere, telling him, "Get out of here." Father Ray then left the house, advising the Lutz family not to use the room where he felt the malevolent presence. One of the most horrifying events occurred on a night in January when Kathy suddenly felt her body being lifted off the bed, as if an invisible force was pulling her out of sleep. She screamed in panic, and George rushed in to save her. But when he entered the room, he found Kathy had transformed into a horrific shape, her face resembling that of an old woman. At that moment, Kathy was terrified, and after a few minutes she gradually returned to her normal form, but the fear remained intact. During this time, George began to feel as if he were being controlled by some malevolent force. He grew distant from his family, becoming irritable and aggressive. He was no longer himself, and these changes only worsened the situation at home. One night, George saw the shadow of a tall man in the house, with glowing red eyes, gliding through the night. But the climax of this nightmare came when George and Kathy decided to leave the house. During their 28 days there, they endured horrifying events that became unbearable. On January 14, 1976, the Lutz family left the house and never returned. After the Lutz family vacated the house, the story of the Amityville haunting became famous throughout America. They shared their terrifying experiences with the media and quickly became the center of attention. Journalists and paranormal experts showed interest and began investigating house number 112. A famous paranormal investigation team, Ed and Lorraine Warren, came to the house to inspect it. Lorraine, a psychic, claimed that the house had a strong current of evil energy and a powerful demonic presence. Ed Warren believed the house was haunted by evil spirits and might even have become a portal to the other side. However, not everyone believed the Lutz family's story. Some critics suggested they fabricated the tale to profit from the notoriety. In the following years, lawsuits and debates about the authenticity of the story ensued. Some people, including new homeowners, lived in the house without encountering any strange phenomena. Whether the Lutz family's story is true or not, it remains one of the most famous haunted stories in America and has been adapted into many books and horror films, including the classic The Amityville Horror. After leaving the house in Amityville, the Lutz family tried to continue their normal lives. However, the obsession with what they had experienced never truly disappeared. George and Kathy were frequently invited to appear on television and documentary shows, where they shared details about the horrifying phenomena they had endured. Even after many years, 112 Ocean Avenue remains a hot topic, attracting attention from the curious and the brave. Story 3. The Haunted House in Harrisville, a curse from the 19th century. In the spring of 1971, Roger and Carolyn Perron, along with their 5 daughters, moved into an old house in Harrisville, Rhode Island. They hoped that life in this quiet countryside would provide their family with wonderful memories, far removed from the hustle and bustle of city life. The house the Perrons bought, known as the Old Arnold Estate, was a vast farm with 14 rooms, built in the 18th century, situated amidst sprawling green fields. The house had an old-world charm, but from the moment they arrived, Carolyn sensed something unusual. There were strange cold drafts in the house, despite the absence of any wind outside. Initially, no one paid much attention to this, as it was expected that an old house might produce creaks and peculiar phenomena. However, after just a few weeks, odd occurrences began to manifest. At first, the phenomena were merely soft noises at night, footsteps on the floor and doors slamming when no one was there. The Perron daughters began to report that something strange was happening in the house, such as whispers and shadows flitting at the corners of their vision. Carolyn also noticed that objects in the house were often moved for no reason. A broom would be out of place, and a chair would rock gently when no one was sitting in it. One morning, Carolyn discovered a strange puddle on the floor with no clear origin. She cleaned it up, but within a few hours, the puddle reappeared. These little incidents quickly raised anxiety within the family, especially for Carolyn, who spent most of her time at home while Roger was at work. Gradually, the strange events grew more severe. One night, while the daughters were asleep, Carolyn was lying in bed reading when she felt an invisible force push her down. Terrified, she bolted upright, but no one was in the room. On other occasions, Carolyn heard her name being called from the dark corners of the house. Their daughters were not exempt from the haunting phenomena. Andrea, the eldest daughter, reported that she frequently felt a dark figure standing silently at the foot of her bed each night. Andrea's younger sister, Cindy, even claimed to see objects hovering in her room and heard voices echoing in her head. "There's someone here with us, but they don't belong to this world," Cindy whispered to her mother. Carolyn began to research the history of the house. She discovered that it had a dark past. The old Arnold estate once belonged to a family in the 19th century, and many members of that family died under mysterious circumstances. One previous owner, Bathsheba Sherman, was accused of being a witch. Bathsheba was suspected of having sacrificed her child to the devil, and although these accusations were never proven, her reputation remained linked to dark magic. After Bathsheba's death, many believed her spirit returned to haunt the house. Carolyn began to notice that she was the primary target of the mysterious phenomena. She felt her body growing weaker, and unexplained bruises began appearing on her skin each time she woke up in the morning. She also sensed a malevolent presence watching her, especially when she was alone in the house. The daughters, particularly Andrea and Cindy, were frequently awakened in the middle of the night by knocking and heavy footsteps running in the hallway. They began to feel fearful in their rooms and sought comfort in each other. One night, Andrea heard heavy breathing above her bed. She shot up in terror to see a dark figure standing beside her bed, its face indistinct but filled with malice. The Perron family became frantic. Carolyn shared the strange events with Roger, but he, being a practical man who did not believe in supernatural phenomena, initially dismissed everything. However, when Roger himself began to witness bizarre occurrences, doors slamming with no one nearby, mysterious voices, he was forced to accept that something unusual was happening in their home. Desperate, the Perron family reached out to Ed and Lorraine Warren, two renowned paranormal investigators at the time. Ed was a paranormal researcher, while Lorraine was a psychic who could sense spirits and the presence of evil entities. When the Warren couple visited the house, Lorraine immediately felt a dark and powerful energy surrounding the place. She asserted that the house was haunted by a demonic spirit, with Bathsheba being the most powerful entity among them. Lorraine believed that Bathsheba was not just a wandering spirit, but an evil entity capable of controlling and influencing the Perron family's lives. Ed and Lorraine began performing exorcisms and further investigating the house's history. They recorded strange sounds, captured images of ghostly entities, and witnessed numerous bizarre phenomena unfold right before their eyes. Lorraine once stated that she saw the image of Bathsheba standing at Carolyn's bedside, her face distorted by hatred and evil. One of the most horrifying events occurred when Lorraine attempted to communicate with Bathsheba's spirit during an exorcism. While connecting, Carolyn's body was thrown back as if an invisible force attacked her. She screamed in agony, sensing something wicked clinging to her. The Perron family, especially Carolyn, began to suffer severe emotional distress. She frequently fell into states of depression and fear, unable to escape the recurring nightmares of Bathsheba. The marks on Carolyn's body, from scratches to bruises, worsened as if she were being attacked each night. Roger, initially skeptical, had no choice but to believe that his family was truly facing a supernatural force. He decided to move the family out of the house at the end of 1974 after they had endured too much pain and fear. After leaving the old Arnold estate, the Perron family remained haunted by their experiences. They never returned to that house, which stood as a reminder of the dark secrets it harbored. Even those living nearby reported sensing a strange energy emanating from the house whenever they passed by. Carolyn, the most affected, underwent many years of therapy to recover from the trauma she faced. Her daughters also carried the haunting memories of long nights, tormented by invisible spirits and Bathsheba's threats. The haunted house in Harrisville became the inspiration for the famous horror book and film The Conjuring, released in 2013. The events in the film were based on the Perron family's experiences, and although some details were exaggerated for entertainment, the essence of the story remained rooted in truth. The house still exists today and has become a point of attraction for paranormal enthusiasts. Many paranormal investigators and tourists visit the house to learn about the mysterious events that took place there, with some even claiming to have felt Bathsheba Sherman's presence, lingering and guarding her home. The story of the Perron family and the haunted house in Harrisville is not just a simple horror tale. It evokes the underlying fear of things we cannot control or explain. Whether you believe or not, that house still stands there, quietly, with its mysteries, ready to await those brave or curious enough to explore. Thank you for watching today's story. I hope these chilling experiences have made you reflect on fears and trust in life. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on more engaging stories and interesting content in the future. Thank you for your support, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.